Hi, I'm Terry Kimball, President and CEO here at the Chandler Chamber, and I'm very excited to have with me Kelly Cooper. Welcome.
Thank you.
Kelly Cooper is running for Congressional District 4 here in Chandler, representing at the U.S. In Washington. So thank you for joining us. So Kelly, tell us a little bit about why you're running for Congress.
Yeah, it's great. So I grew up to a single mom. I sweat equity my way into the restaurant business, and today I have a fourth restaurant under construction here in the Valley. I really at no point ever had an interest in politics, but the last 6 years has really driven me to feel a responsibility to be involved. It was kind of triggered through COVID. Some of the different things that happened during that time and the after effects, the supply chain issues and the energy cost issues that have arisen out of the way that we handled some of those things. But ultimately, I have a 9 and a 10-year-old at home, and I grew up, I'm a product of the American dream. I believe that I live it. As I grew up, my sister and I, to a single mom, and have worked my way, sweat equity my way into business, and now I feel like I'm a fairly successful restaurateur. I believe my children deserve that same thing, and the direction that we're headed today, I believe, is challenging that, and it's creating barriers to entry to small business owners. Anyone that wants to come out in whatever industry it is and follow and choose to follow their American dream is finding it harder and harder and harder because of those barriers to entry that are being created. And I feel like those that have the ability have the responsibility, and I have a lot of experience that I'd like to bring to the table.
Well, thank you for that. So let's talk about the district. Sure. What do you think are some of the biggest things facing the district or Arizona as a whole within the next 4 to 5 years?
Well, what you see right now is rising cost. It's energy cost, water, accessibility, water preservation as we go forward. Those are what I see as the two biggest ones. We're going to have a lot of growth, and we're going to have, I think, an influx of new high-paying jobs that are happening right now. And if we don't have water sustainability, and if we don't manage what's happening with energy policy, both within the state and at the federal level, we're going to really struggle to keep that growth going. And the people that come here expect to have an environment that allows them to be successful or find great jobs and great schools. And if we're going to attract new people to come, those things have to be in place.
So let's talk a little bit, because the Chandler Chamber represents about 172,000 employees here in Chandler. So we're a large representation of that business community. How will you foster a positive relationship, if elected, between yourself and the Chandler Chamber?
Oh, well, I mean, I think that's sort of our goal. I'm a member of the Chamber on top of a lot of other things. I think the relationship between the Chandler Chamber of Commerce and any chamber and the community is important because we are all fighting to have the environment that allows for growth. Our employees, as you represent, need to have growing businesses. I had this conversation yesterday. Somebody asked me what it's like to close a restaurant, and maybe this isn't the right forum to talk about closing a restaurant, but I've had that experience.
That's reality.
And the most challenging part of closing a restaurant, any business, but a restaurant, is the people that you work with every day because they're your family. When you have a business that's not successful for whatever reason, you have to look those folks in the face and you have to tell them that they no longer have the ability to make money with you and that they're now out looking for something else. If we don't work together, if I don't work at the federal level to foster an environment that allows for both business and employee success, then I'm not really doing my job. Constituent services on a congressional level is one of the most important things it is, and you represent a significant portion of the constituency. So I don't know that there's a higher calling than that.
Well, and that's perfect to lead in with our next question. So how do you actively protect the interest of the business community? And then what avenues of communication do you have or want to provide for local businesses if elected?
Yeah, that's great. As I alluded to in the last answer, constituent services, I believe, is the primary responsibility of anybody that's holding an elected office for representation. I will have the best constituent services in Arizona, and I know that's a tall order considering we've got some really good representatives. But as a business owner, that business structure is what I'm about, and so we will have that set up. That allows for businesses to come and address grievances, really. Talk about the things that need to be addressed. The unfortunate truth is that most people aren't going to come to you when everything is perfect. They're not going to come to you and tell you that there's rainbows and sunshine all over the world. They're going to come when they have a problem, and they need to have somebody there listening. Too many times I hear people say, in this district and otherwise, that they've reached out to their representative and they didn't hear back for a year, or they didn't hear back for 8 months. And that's just not acceptable. If you're running to be an elected official for people in your district, you have to be accessible, whether it's you or a direct member of your team. And for me, I feel like that should be within 24, 48 hours, not 24, 48 weeks. And so I think it's important that we provide that accessibility, that pathway for communication to address grievances.
Great. So let's talk about potentially your plans to make a more unified political environment. How will you plan to collaborate with others that might not agree with you?
Sure. Well, I think maybe we're understating the political climate. It's very divisive right now, and that's completely unhelpful to the people that we're supposed to be representing. For me, I don't take the approach that my opponent's Greg Stanton. I don't take the approach that Greg Stanton is a bad person or has ill intent. His policies are different than what I would expect to enact, and I think that they don't have the same outcome that my representation would have. But that doesn't mean we have to have a caustic relationship, whether it's him or anybody else. I think that we have to work across the aisle to accomplish tasks. And our current environment in politics right now is it's my way or it's no way. And that's not accomplishing anything for the people. If all of your representatives say that I'm going to take my ball and go home, well, then nobody's doing anything. And so I think it's very important that we have civil discourse, that we talk across the aisle, we find common ground where we can work together and find that area in the middle that's good for both parties. Maybe not everybody agrees with all of it. You're never going to make everybody happy. And oftentimes in a negotiation, if both parties are mildly unhappy, that's probably right in the middle where you should be. And I think that we have to do that because you listen to it. You guys all listen to it. What you hear from your politicians right now mostly has been division. And division intentionally, unintentionally suppresses votes. And if the voices of the people aren't heard, the representation isn't adequate for them. I want everybody to show up and vote. And if it's not for me, that's fine. But voter participation has to be at its highest level to make sure that we're getting great representation.
Great. Thank you for those comments. The federal budget is a big one. How will you maintain fiscal responsibility and prioritize allocation of monies?
It's a great question. I think that we're faced with a very challenging, understated time in America. We currently have over or approximately $37 trillion in debt, and we're adding $1 trillion every 100 days or so. That's unsustainable for any society, including ours. And the answer to that is not printing more money, because the supply of money into the economy is the root of inflation. We all that understand economics understand that. Everybody watching this will understand that. So the responsibility, I think, in Washington and of the House of Representatives specifically with the power of the purse is to make sure that we have a balanced budget. And if that's introducing a balanced budget amendment, which I will do, I think that's extraordinarily important. It needs to be coupled with reduced spending, but allocated and accountable spending to make sure that our economy is still foundationed properly and growing, but some of the areas where you might see money disappear, are brought to light and dried up, because we can't continue forward adding $1 trillion in debt every 100 days. We will go by the way of past societies and end up trying to rebuild from a broken economy, and nobody wants that. Nobody's cheerleading for our economy to fail. All of us, Greg Stanton and everybody else, is out there doing what they think is right to make sure that our economy grows for the people. I believe that there is a different approach, and it includes reducing and having accountable spending versus just throwing money at every problem.
Well, thank you for that. So in November, if you are successful and are elected, what's going to be your number one or number two priority that you really want to focus on?
Great questions. I think the security at our border and our budget is important. One thing that you don't often hear talked about is, and I have a direct draw to myself, there are 12 appropriations bills that have to pass through. The last time that all of them were passed through in the manner and at the time that they were supposed to happen was in 1974. One other great thing happened in 1974. That's when I was born. So for those of you that are doing the quick math, I'm just over 50 years old. I've been in business long enough and been successful enough to be able to apply the principles that I've learned to make sure that we look at the budgets, pass a budget, but as you brought up in the last one, how do we work together? Congress in representation, it's 535 people collectively. If I go in there and think that I'm going to solve the world's problems, I'm not only naive, I'm ignorant to the climate that's happening or the pathways and procedures that these things go forward on. I think it's important for us to understand that bringing people together is the only way that we move any legislation forward. And going there with an open mind and trying to present a case for bringing people together is going to be one of the things that we do. But the two biggest things are reducing spending, balancing the budget, and then it's security. Security at the border is the biggest one. And that doesn't mean that we don't want migration. It means that we want to know the people that are coming. Because as you as the chamber know, there are plenty of people that are coming to our country to do great things and to help us do great things. But in what's happening right now in the mass rush to the border, many people that are not good for our economy or our society are being hidden within that group. So we have to find a balance there to make sure that we have security, but don't cut off the people that are coming here to make a better life.
So Kelly, I know that we have had a short period of time and we've kind of talked a lot about a lot of different topics here. Is there anything I may not have asked you that you feel is important for the voters to know, or just in general, a little bit more about your background?
Sure. Politics was never a dream of mine. And when you meet a politician, if your feeling is that that was their dream, they're probably not doing it for the right reasons. As I said earlier, I have a 9 and a 10-year-old at home, and they attend a charter school, a public charter school here locally. School choice is important to me because every child is different, every family is different, and every family deserves the ability to go find the system that works best for them. Now there's responsibility in there and there's accountability in there. We're not looking to defund the schools or call teachers bad. There's just different choices, and each parent is going to make a different choice. But the reason that I got into this is very specifically the American dream and my children's future. And by proxy, or by extension, my children equates to all of the other children in this district and really in America. You want someone, I believe, that not only has the experience and knowledge to be able to apply quality solutions to the problems and challenges that we're facing, but somebody that actually has a reason and cares. I'm not looking to be famous. I'm not looking to be rich. I'm looking to fly out at midnight on Sunday and fly home on midnight on Thursday to be with my family, because driving my kids to school every morning is one of the things that matters to me. And I think it matters to all of the parents that are watching and all the families in this district. This is a suburban district. And that's it. It's genuinely caring about people and where we're going forward, I think is what I want people to know about me.
Great. Well, thank you for that. And Kelly Cooper, running for Congressional District 4 here in Chandler. Thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.